the Canal Cafe Theatre in West London to interview playwright-in-residence B. Roberts and the creative team of Annie Biddlecombe and Emma Taylor. So, B, could I just get you to start off by introducing yourself?
Yeah, my name is B. Roberts. I'm a playwright and I'm the writer-in-residence here at Canal Cafe Theatre.
Hello, I'm Emma Taylor. I'm artistic director here at Canal Cafe Theatre. I'm directing a Coalition Carol and I'm also playing Jules, who's the director in the play.
And I'm Annie Biddlecombe. I'm the manager.
Lovely, thank you.
Could you just give me a little bit of your writing background?
Sure. Yeah, well, it's one of those things I've always sort of written, lots of bad poetry and things like that when I was younger. And then it was really when I went to university that I got into script writing and sort of finally found the right bit of writing for me. And I started off in kind of comedy, really, writing sketches, and I did a radio sitcom that was on student radio. And yeah, it just kind of blossomed from there. I had all the opportunity to carry on and realise that I really enjoyed it. I was in the first production I ever wrote and then never did that again. I realised that I was much, much happier being backstage. So I went on from there. I went, after I finished at Bristol, I was doing drama, I went to Central School of Speech and Drama. I did an MA in writing for stage and broadcast. And then after that I got appointed as the writer-in-residence at Canal, and then since then I've been kind of building up a bit of a career.
Have you had writers in residence before, or is this a new thing?
It's we've had since I've been here in 2001. We've only had one other, so it's not something that we do all the time. It's just if we find a writer and we want to create a relationship, then that will happen. So since I've been here, these are our only second writer in residence.
And would you say that the productions that you put on here are kind of predominantly comedy, or?
Yes, our very broad policy is that we will programme or produce anything which has a comic element, anything from stand-up to new writing that has a comic element.
And do you kind of actively encourage new writing? Would the viewers be encouraged to kind of send you a script on spec, or do you have some sort of process?
Absolutely. No, we if I say use the word encourage to send in, it's pretty much Annie, myself, and one other part-time administrator. So we will read everything that we get. When we get round to reading it is another matter, because for example, another play that I directed, a piece of new writing about 2 years ago, that had been sent in on spec, and I only read it probably 4 months after receiving it, and then I loved it, and we went on to produce it. So yeah, it's always worthwhile sending in stuff.
Would you say, obviously with 17%, I'm interested in the sort of gender split of the kind of amount of submissions you get from male or female. Would you say there's any sort of bias towards men send more scripts than women, or equal?
I wouldn't have thought so. One of the things we produce in-house is news review, which has an open submissions policy for sketches. And I would say we've got a lot of female writers as well, particularly sort of looking at songs and gags and stuff. We get a lot from female writers. So I think, in terms of scripts, I don't know how that's played out over the years.
I think that's why I was surprised when I heard about 17%, because certainly in terms of submissions, I would say it's, without having researched it thoroughly, it seems pretty even. And I think there has been a shift with news review writers, that we are getting more female writers. Certainly in the past it was definitely more male dominated, but that has been changing. And I would still say now, even though it's, we're getting more female writers, it's still more male dominated.
Do you think that's just because of the kind of historical background that men have traditionally put themselves out there a bit more? I don't know, how do you find it? Do you send scripts out on spec, or because you're kind of attached to the Canal Cafe Theatre, do you kind of not do that anymore?
No, I do still kind of, maybe not send things out on spec so much, but I also work with some other theatres and some other directors as well. I think definitely from a point of view of comedy, I would say it tends to be quite male dominated. I did stand up for about a year or so when I was at university, and that aspect of comedy is incredibly male dominated, and I think that's to do with a confidence issue of getting up on stage. And even, you know, I'd have women coming up to me afterwards and going, I don't think women are funny, but you were quite good. And you think, oh, you're a woman, you shouldn't be saying that. So I think there's a big bias, you know, that women aren't funny. So I think it's really great to have a lot of sort of stronger female comics coming through in a more supportive atmosphere, perhaps, than you might get in some stand-up clubs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a knock-on effect of the funny women on TV. There's quite a few funny women writing and performing in their own stuff. You said that you've performed once, but you wouldn't do it again. But do you feel that that kind of gave you an added sort of insider knowledge or confidence to actually know that what you write is actually performable?
Yes, I mean, I performed, I kind of did stand up regularly for about a year. And yeah, I think it is a good way to kind of road test your material, but I think from just my personal opinion of what I'm interested in writing in, it is more narrative, kind of drama stuff, really.
So I'm going to get you to say a little bit about your forthcoming production.
Sure. Okay, so it's called Coalition Carol, which is the shorter version of the title. The longer version is the Sprayton Gurnish Amateur Dramatic Society, in association with the Benton St Log Parish Players, present a Coalition Carol. So the idea is it's the this amateur dramatic society from the West Country, or rather two Amdram societies, are putting on a satirical production of A Christmas Carol. With a kind of maniacal, egotistical director being played by Emma, and it all kind of falls apart during the course of the production, and it's a very upbeat kind of Christmassy comedy. So they set out not to have a panto and not to be traditional, and then by the end of the production it's complete panto. Yes, it's been really good fun.
Brilliant, and that's running from
the 4th to the 22nd of December.
Brilliant. Could you offer any advice to women who want to get into the theatre generally, sort of in management, but also writing?
Well, I mean, from my opinion as a writer, I think often it's a lack of confidence, I think, when it comes to women and sending things out, and tend to assume that it won't be as good as everything else. So I think one thing is to, one of my friends, Catherine Mitchell, who's a great writer, but she had suffered for a long time for not having any confidence until she became a script reader, and then she realised just the quality of some of the scripts that people do send in. So, and I think just have a go, just really go for it. And I think that the worst thing that will happen is that you get a rejection, and getting objections is part of being a writer. I get rejections all the time, so just go for it, I think.
And in terms of working in management?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether this is particularly a gender thing, but I would say just determination. I started out doing an internship at Battersea Arts Centre and quickly sort of got involved with the programming side for the comedy, purely through going and asking and saying, I know this isn't part of what you've sort of taken me on for, but I really want to be involved, and just sort of keep plugging away and seeing opportunities and going for it, despite sort of maybe being a bit fearful or lacking in confidence, but just still try it. And yeah, you find the doors open, which is really good.
Brilliant. Any advice?
Well, I was lucky in that this job was advertised for Artistic Director of Canal Cafe. So yeah, just obviously always keeping your eye on publications like The Stage, Casting Call Pro, and word of mouth. A lot of work is generated just by people saying, oh, I've heard so-and-so needs somebody. So, and actually now Facebook is an incredible way of getting work.
Yeah, maybe just to sort of touch on social media finally. As a new sort of tool for promotion and networking, do you think that that's important, or do you think like some people that I'll ignore it, I won't even get an internet connection?
Well, from my point, I think it's incredibly important. I think you can really find out a lot about what's happening by being on Twitter and being on Facebook and things like that. And again, as a promotional tool, it's really useful as well, kind of letting people know what you're doing. You know, no one can come and see your show unless they know it's on. And it can be a really, I think if you use it well, it can be interesting. So I did a show called The Darkling Plain at the Tobacco Factory, which was all set in the 1940s, and I was tweeting as one of the characters from the 1940s, and people really enjoyed interacting with the characters. So it kind of can add another dimension to what you're doing as well, and generate publicity.
I'd say for promotion for the theatre as well, it's incredibly important. It's become increasingly more important. So it's a great way of, like you said, marketing, promotion for shows, but it also allows us to get immediate feedback as well from audiences who then come out and show and immediately go straight on Twitter and say, that was great. It allows us to have straight away tell dialogue with those people and say, brilliant, come back next time. That kind of thing. So yeah, it's become very, very important. Definitely say people should do and promote shows.
I'm a convert because I was initially very anti, and I resisted going on Facebook for a while, but then I realised that actually the difference in ticket sales was quite phenomenal. And so it was essentially for me when I first joined Facebook, it was purely for professional reasons. But then there's becomes a sort of more personal social aspect as well. But yeah, I rate it highly now.
Okay, well, brilliant. Well, thanks very much for talking to me. Good luck with your new show.